The text on my phone burned like a wildfire. I'm done, Khalil. I can't do this anymore. On my 25th birthday, under the gray San Francisco sky, Marcus had ripped my heart out with a single message. I stood frozen on the cracked sidewalk of Valencia Street, the world blurring as fog rolled in, swallowing the city's hum. I'd planned everything: dinner at La Taqueria, a walk along the Embarcadero, maybe even a kiss under the Bay Bridge's twinkling lights. Marcus had promised he'd be there, his voice warm over the phone just last night. But now, his words were cold, final, a blade slicing through 3 years of love, laughter, and whispered promises. My hands trembled as I typed a reply, but my thumb hovered over send. What was there to say? He'd left me on my birthday, the day I'd hoped he'd finally meet my family, the day I thought we'd take the next step. The street was alive with strangers, couples laughing, bikes whizzing by, the scent of tacos and coffee drifting from nearby shops. I felt like a ghost, unseen, unraveling. Marcus was my anchor, the one who'd held me through late-night doubts about my identity, the one who'd kissed my forehead when I came out to my sister. Growing up black and gay in Oakland wasn't easy. Whispers at church, sideways glances at school. But Marcus made me feel like I belonged. Now I was adrift. I shoved my phone into my pocket and wandered toward my apartment building, a faded Victorian squeezed between a vegan cafe and a mural-covered bookstore. My neighbor, Elena, was outside, wrestling with a tangle of fairy lights. Her dark curls bounced as she cursed under her breath, her hands nimble but frustrated. She was a whirlwind, Hispanic, late 20s, always blasting salsa music through her open window. We'd only exchanged small talk before, but her energy was contagious, like she could coax the sun out of San Francisco's fog. "Hey, Khalil," she called, spotting me. Her smile faltered as she saw my face. "Whoa, you okay? You look like someone stole your birthday cake." I forced a laugh, but it cracked. "Something like that." She dropped the lights and stepped closer, her brown eyes sharp with concern. "Spill. What's going on?" I hesitated. Elena was practically a stranger, but the weight in my chest was too heavy to carry alone. "My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, I guess. He just broke up with me. Over text. On my birthday." Her jaw dropped. "What? That's cold-blooded. Who does that?" She grabbed my arm, her grip firm but warm. "You're not spending your birthday moping. Come on. Let's get you inside." I followed her, too numb to protest. Her apartment was a burst of color. Bright tapestries, mismatched furniture, a shelf overflowing with books and candles. It smelled like cinnamon and hope, the opposite of the hollow ache inside me. She handed me a glass of water and sat me on her couch, her voice softening. "Listen, Khalil, you're too good for someone who'd pull that. Birthdays are for celebrating you, not crying over trash." She grinned, but her eyes held a quiet understanding, like she'd been through her own storms. I shook my head. "I thought he was the one, you know? We talked about moving in together, meeting each other's families. I came out for him, and now my voice broke, and I looked away, embarrassed." Elena leaned forward, her hands clasped. "Love can be a mess, but it doesn't define you. You're still Khalil, artist, dreamer, the guy who leaves sketches in the stairwell for kids to find. You're enough." Her words hit hard, stirring something I couldn't name. I barely knew her, yet she saw me in a way Marcus hadn't in months. I mumbled a thanks, but my mind was still on him, his laugh, his hands, the way he'd promised forever. How had it all fallen apart? As I sat there, Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then jumped up. "Okay, change of plans. You're staying here tonight. No arguments. We're throwing you a birthday party." I blinked. A party? Elena, I barely know you. Exactly why it's perfect. Fresh start, new vibes. Trust me. She winked, already pulling out balloons and a half-eaten bag of streamers from a closet. I wanted to protest, but her energy was a lifeline, pulling me from the abyss. An hour later, her apartment was transformed. Fairy lights twinkled along the walls, and a small cake sat on the table, its frosting slightly lopsided but charming. Elena had texted a few neighbors, Mr. Chan, the retired chef who lived upstairs, and Priya, a med student with a knack for storytelling. They arrived with snacks and smiles, no questions asked about my red-rimmed eyes. Mr. Chan, a wiry man in his 50s with a gentle accent, handed me a plate of dumplings. For strength, he said, his eyes crinkling. Priya launched into a dramatic tale about her disastrous first date, making everyone laugh, even me. The room felt warm, alive, like a heartbeat I'd forgotten. Elena raised a glass of sparkling cider. To Khalil, for surviving 25 years and still shining, even when life's a jerk. I laughed, a real one this time, but the ache lingered. Marcus's absence was a shadow, creeping into every quiet moment. Why had he left? Was it me? Was I too much or not enough? The questions gnawed, but the laughter around me was a shield, fragile but real. As the night wore on, Elena pulled me aside. You're gonna be okay, Khalil. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you will. And we're here for you. I looked at her, at this woman who'd turned strangers into family in hours, and felt a spark of something new. Not love, not yet, but hope. Maybe I could rebuild piece by piece starting tonight. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee and the faint hum of Elena's radio playing jazz. My head throbbed, not from drinking but from the emotional whiplash of yesterday. The party had been a bandage, but Marcus's text still stung, each word a splinter under my skin. I lay on Elena's couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying our last moments together. A quiet dinner at his place, his hand brushing mine, his promise to make my birthday unforgettable. He'd kept that promise, just not the way I'd imagined. Elena poked her head into the living room, a mug in hand. Morning, birthday boy. You look like you need caffeine and a plan. I sat up, rubbing my eyes. A plan for what? Surviving. She grinned, handing me the mug. Exactly. Step 1, coffee. Step 2, we figure out how to make today suck less than yesterday. Her optimism was relentless, like sunlight breaking through fog. I sipped the coffee, strong and bitter, and felt a flicker of gratitude. Thanks for last night, Elena. I didn't expect any of that. She waved it off, sitting cross-legged on the floor. You looked like you needed a lifeline. I've been there. When my ex left, I thought the world ended. Spoiler, it didn't. I wanted to ask about her story, but my phone buzzed, cutting through the moment. My heart leapt, hoping it was Marcus, an apology, an explanation. But it was my sister, Aisha, texting from Oakland. Happy birthday, late. You okay? Mom's asking why you didn't call. Guilt twisted in my gut. I'd been so wrapped up in Marcus I'd forgotten to call my family. Aisha was the only one who knew I was gay. She'd hugged me tight when I told her, promising to have my back. But Mom? I wasn't ready to face her questions, her hopes for a normal son. Elena noticed my frown. Family drama? Sort of, I said, setting the phone down. My sister's cool, but my mom, she doesn't know about me. Or Marcus. And now there's no Marcus to tell her about. Elena nodded, her expression softening. Coming out's a beast. I told my parents when I was 19. Dad didn't speak to me for a year. But you know what? You don't have to do it alone. or right now. Her words were a bomb, but the weight of Marcus's absence pressed harder. I opened his text again, rereading the cold words. I can't do this anymore. No reason, no warning. I'd spent years building a life with him, late-night talks about our dreams, sketching together at Golden Gate Park, stealing kisses in the Mission's alleyways. He'd been my safe harbor in a world that often felt hostile. And now, nothing. Elena stood, brushing her hands on her jeans. Okay, enough wallowing. We're going out. Fresh air, new perspective. You in. I hesitated, but her energy was infectious. Where to? The Castro. It's your birthday weekend, and you need some queer joy in your life. The Castro district was a 20-minute walk, a vibrant pocket of San Francisco where rainbow flags fluttered above bars and bookstores. As we strolled, Elena chatted about her job as a graphic designer, her love for salsa dancing, and her dream of opening a community art space. I listened, grateful for the distraction, but my mind kept drifting to Marcus. Had he met someone else? Was it my fault for pushing too hard? For wanting more? The Castro buzzed with life. Drag queens strutting outside cafes, couples holding hands, music spilling from open doors. Elena led me to a mural-covered wall, a tribute to queer icons like Harvey Milk. This, she said, gesturing to the vibrant colors, is what you're part of, a community that fights, loves, and keeps going, no matter what. I traced the mural's edges, feeling the weight of history. Growing up, I'd hidden who I was, terrified of rejection. Marcus had been my first real love, the first person who made me feel whole. Losing him felt like losing myself. Elena nudged me. You're not alone, Khalil. Look around. These are your people. I wanted to believe her, but the ache was stubborn. We grabbed coffee at a cozy shop called Rainbow Brew, where the barista, a trans woman with a bright smile, comped my drink. Happy birthday, Han, she said, winking. It was a small gesture, but it warmed me, like a crack in the walls I'd built. As we sat outside, Elena's phone lit up with a notification. She glanced at it, then at me. Okay, don't hate me, but I invited a few folks to join us later. Low-key, I promise. Just some friends who'd love to meet you. I groaned. Elena, I'm not exactly party ready. You don't have to be. Just show up. Let us hold space for you. Her sincerity disarmed me. I nodded, sipping my coffee, letting the Castro's energy seep in. For the first time since Marcus's text, I felt a flicker of possibility. Maybe I could survive this. Maybe I could find myself again. Not through Marcus, but through people like Elena, through this community that refused to let me fall. By afternoon, the Castro was electric, sunlight glinting off shop windows and rainbow crosswalks. Elena's friends arrived, a mix of queer folks from her art collective, each one vibrant in their own way. There was Jamie, a non-binary photographer with a shaved head and a knack for dry humor, and Diego, a flamboyant dancer who moved like he was born for the spotlight. They welcomed me like we'd known each other forever. No pity, just warmth. We wandered to a small park, where a street performer strummed a guitar, singing about love and resilience. I sat on the grass, sketching the scene in my notebook, my pencil moving instinctively. Drawing had always been my escape, a way to process the chaos of growing up in a world that didn't always accept me. Today, it felt like a lifeline, capturing the vibrancy around me. Diego plopped down beside me, peering at my sketch. Damn, Khalil, you've got talent. Ever think about showing your work? I shrugged, self-conscious. It's just a hobby. I'm a graphic designer by day, but I don't know. It's hard to put myself out there. He raised an eyebrow. Harder than coming out? Or getting dumped on your birthday? I laughed, caught off guard. Fair point. Elena joined us, her eyes scanning my sketch. You should listen to Diego. Your art's got soul. It's like you're telling stories with every line. Her words stirred something, a spark I hadn't felt since Marcus. He'd loved my sketches, framing a few in his apartment, but he'd always pushed me to play it safe with my career. Maybe Elena was right. Maybe it was time to take a risk. As the day wore on, we hit a queer bookstore, its shelves packed with stories of love, loss, and triumph. Jamie handed me a copy of Giovanni's Room, saying, "This'll break your heart, but it'll also heal it." I bought it, craving something to anchor me. But the ache for Marcus lingered. I checked my phone obsessively, hoping for a text, an apology, anything. Nothing. I imagined him in his Mission District loft, packing away our memories, erasing me. The thought made my chest tight, and I stepped outside for air. Elena followed, her voice gentle. "You're still thinking about him, aren't you?" I nodded, unable to meet her eyes. "I keep wondering what I did wrong. Was I too clingy? Not enough. I came out for him, Elena. I risked everything." She sat beside me on the curb, her shoulder brushing mine. "You didn't come out for him, Khalil. You came out for you. And that's power, not weakness. He doesn't get to take that away." Her words cut through the fog, sharp and true. I'd spent so long tying my worth to Marcus, to his love, that I'd forgotten who I was without him. But here, in the Castro, surrounded by people who celebrated every shade of identity, I felt a shift. I wasn't just Marcus's boyfriend. I was Khalil, artist, brother, friend, a man still figuring himself out. That evening, Elena's friends invited us to a drag show at a bar called Oasis. The energy was electric, glitter, laughter, and unapologetic joy. Diego dragged me onto the dance floor, and for a moment, I forgot the pain, lost in the music and the crowd. Elena twirled beside me, her laughter bright, and I realized I was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in days. As the night wound down, Jamie pulled me aside. "I saw how you looked at that mural today. You've got a story to tell, Khalil. Don't let some guy's bad choices stop you." Their words echoed Elena's, planting a seed. Maybe my art could be more than a hobby. Maybe I could build something new, not just for me, but for others who felt lost like I did now. When we left the bar, the fog had lifted, revealing a sky full of stars. Elena linked her arm through mine, her voice soft. "See? The world's still turning, and you're still here, shining." I squeezed her arm, grateful. Marcus's absence still hurt, but the pain wasn't all-consuming anymore. I was starting to see a path forward, one step at a time, with people who saw me for me. The next day, reality crept back. I returned to my apartment, the silence deafening after the Castro's vibrancy. My place was a shrine to Marcus, his hoodie on the couch, a photo of us at Pride taped to the fridge. I wanted to burn it all, but instead, I sank onto the floor, clutching the photo. We looked so happy then, arms around each other, rainbow flags in the background. How had we gone from that to this? My phone buzzed. Aisha again. "Khalil, call me. Mom's worried, and I'm not covering for you anymore." I sighed, dialing her number. Her voice was warm but firm. "You disappeared on your birthday. What's going on?" I took a breath, the words spilling out. "Marcus broke up with me. On my birthday. Over text." Aisha cursed. "That's low. You okay?" "No," I admitted. "But I'm trying. Some neighbors threw me a party, and I went to the Castro yesterday. It helped." "Good," she said, softening. "You don't need him, Khalil. You're stronger than you think. But you gotta tell Mom soon. She deserves to know who you are." The thought terrified me. Mom was old school, raised on church and tradition. Aisha had paved the way, being unapologetically herself, but I wasn't sure I had her courage. "I'll try," I said, my voice small. After we hung up, I forced myself to move. I boxed up Marcus's things, his hoodie, his books, the mug he always used. Each item felt like a goodbye, but also a reclaiming. This was my space, my life. I wasn't ready to let go completely, but I could start. Elena knocked on my door that afternoon, holding a flyer. "Art show next week. Local artists, queer themes. You should submit something." I laughed, nervous. "Me? I'm not ready for that." She crossed her arms. "You're ready. I saw your sketches. They're raw, real. People need to see them." Her belief in me was disarming. I'd spent so long hiding my art, my identity, my heart. Maybe it was time to stop. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll try." That night I stayed up late, sketching. I drew the Castro mural, the drag show's energy, Elena's smile. Each stroke felt like a step toward healing, a way to process the pain. I didn't know if I was good enough for an art show, but I wanted to try, for me, not for Marcus. The next few days were a blur of work and sketching. My job at a small design firm was steady but uninspiring, churning out logos for tech startups. My heart wasn't in it, but my art was different. It was mine, a space where I could be honest. Elena stopped by daily, bringing coffee or ideas, her presence a steady anchor. One evening, she dragged me to a community center in the Mission, where a queer support group met. I was hesitant, expecting cliches, but the room was full of people like me. Black, brown, trans, cis, young, old, all navigating love and loss. A woman named Maya shared her story of coming out later in life, her voice steady but emotional. "I thought I'd lose everyone," she said, "but I found myself, and that was worth it." Her words stayed with me. I wasn't ready to come out to Mom, but I could start living for myself. I could build a life where I didn't need Marcus's approval, where I was enough. By the end of the week, I'd finished a piece for the art show, a vibrant sketch of the Castro, alive with color and movement, a figure in the foreground that was unmistakably me, standing tall despite the shadows. I titled it Reclaiming Light. Elena beamed when she saw it. "This is you, Khalil. This is your story." Submitting it felt like jumping off a cliff, exhilarating and terrifying. But as I handed the piece to the curator, a weight lifted. I was stepping into my truth, not just as a gay man, but as an artist, a person with something to say. The art show was held in a converted warehouse in the Dogpatch, its walls lined with bold, unapologetic works. My piece hung near the center, Reclaiming Light glowing under the spotlights. I stood beside it, heart pounding, as strangers studied my work. Elena was there, of course, in a bright red dress, hyping me up to anyone who'd listen. Jamie and Diego came too, along with Mr. Chan and Priya, their presence a quiet support. A woman approached, her silver hair tied back, her eyes sharp. "You're Khalil? This piece is stunning. Feels alive. Personal." I stammered a thanks and used to the attention. She introduced herself as Nora, a gallery owner in the Mission. "I'd love to see more of your work. You've got something special." Her words lit a fire in me. For years, I'd let fear hold me back. Fear of rejection, of not being enough. But here, surrounded by art and acceptance, I felt seen. Elena squeezed my hand, whispering, "Told you." The night was a blur of conversations and compliments, but one moment stood out. A young man, maybe 18, lingered by my piece, his eyes wet. "This feels like me," he said quietly. "Like I can keep going, Even when it hurts. I swallowed hard, nodding. You can. You will. His words echoed in my mind as I walked home with Elena. I'd made something that mattered, not just to me, but to someone else. It was a start, a way to rebuild. The next day, I called Aisha, ready to take the next step. I'm telling Mom, I said. Not today, but soon. I want her to know me. All of me. Aisha's voice was proud. You've got this, Khalil. And I'll be there when you do. That evening, Elena invited me to her place for dinner. Mr. Chun had cooked, and Priya brought dessert. It was just the four of us, but it felt like family. We laughed, shared stories, and for the first time I didn't check my phone for Marcus. He was fading, not gone, but no longer the center of my world. As we cleaned up, Elena pulled me aside. I'm proud of you, Khalil. You're finding your way. I smiled, my heart lighter. Thanks to you. You didn't have to do any of this. She shrugged, her eyes warm. You're worth it. Her words lingered, sparking something new. Not romance, not yet, but a connection, a possibility. I wasn't ready to love again, but I was ready to live. Weeks later, I stood in my apartment, a blank canvas in front of me. The space felt different now. Marcus's things were gone, replaced by my sketches, my colors. I was painting again, not just for escape, but for joy. My art showpiece had opened doors, Nora had invited me to a group exhibition, and I was working on a series about queer resilience inspired by the Castro, by Elena, by the community that had held me up. I still thought of Marcus, but the pain was softer now, a bruise instead of a wound. I'd seen him once, from a distance at a coffee shop. He looked the same, but I didn't feel the same. I didn't need him anymore. Coming out to Mom was still ahead, but I was preparing, talking to Aisha, practicing what I'd say. It wouldn't be easy, but I wasn't alone. Elena and the others had shown me that family wasn't just blood. It was the people who showed up, who saw you, who stayed. One evening, Elena knocked on my door, holding 2 tickets to a salsa night in the Mission. You're coming, she said, grinning. No excuses. I laughed, grabbing my jacket. As we danced that night, her hand in mine, I felt alive, free. The music pulsed, the crowd cheered, and for the first time in months, I wasn't looking back. I was here now with people who reminded me who I was. Marcus had abandoned me heartlessly on my birthday, but he hadn't broken me. Elena's small party, the Castro's embrace, the art show's validation, they'd shown me I was enough. More than enough. I was Khalil, an artist, a brother, a friend, a man learning to love himself. And that was the greatest gift of all.